XLM is no joke. That's right. Stellar, aka XLM, for years has been ridiculed. Very similar to XRP because, again, if we look at the chart, XRP and XLM are so similar in the sense that both of them have failed to break one specific high, and that's their 2017-2018 all-time high. XLM is just shy of $1. XRP is just shy of $4. So that means I'd much rather buy XRP over XLM. And we have to compete. So, which one's better? Is XRP better than XLM, or is those arguments are still ongoing today. And also the fact that on the chart, we haven't broken the 2017-2018 all-time high. So that means that XLM is never going to do that. So I'm never touching this asset ever. That's the mindset that majority of the people in this space have right now. And let's just be honest here, there's not a lot of people left in crypto anyways. So again, having that mindset is just something that will set you back, because I do think that a lot of these altcoins in this market have tremendous amounts of value tied back to them. And XLM is actually one that's extremely overlooked and extremely undervalued as well. And we'll talk about that. But of course, let's take a look quick at the chart and just taking a quick look at RSI. I mean, guys, we are extremely oversold. We were at this level back in, all the way back in the summer of 2024, going throughout the fall, up until, of course, the market just exploded. And again, during this time, I still remember making content over on the main channel and Cash Official, and everyone was like, hey, why is XLM pumping? What's going on here? And again, that's just how the market works. The market moves when the market wants to move, when the pressure is so, crazy that the only way that things can, simmer down is to have that massive explosion. And XLM will get there again. In fact, I think that we're starting to kind of chop here. I think that we're starting to brew a bit more. And before it's all said and done, it's going to be too late for a lot of people to actually accumulate their XLM bags. Now, the main thing that I really want to talk about is I want to go over network activity, and I want to go over the adoption side of things as well for, Stellar and XLM. So let's actually start off real quick from ChainSpec, which I actually love this, platform. This platform is awesome for just fundamental tracking and research, because it provides you with an insight on just how much transactional flows and demand there is around some of these networks. And of course, Stellar has been going insane over the last roughly 3 months. We have here that Stellar org actually processed over 14.1 million transactions on April 16th. No, not in a whole month, one day, setting a second record this week. Stellar's activity has grown 14% from the day before, powering more real-world usage than ever. And this is a serious thing to take note of, because during this time in the market where, XLM, XLM is dead, right? It's down roughly 73% from its peak all the way back in November of 2024. Guys, it's been 516 days. XLM's dead. Screw this. I'm never investing into XLM. It's done. Again, if we go off of the peak back in 2021 to the bottom back in December of 2022, guys, it was about 579 days. So even if we have to wait, 579 days until June, we are so close to the point where this market, going off of even previous timeframes, even going all the way back to 2017 and 2018, I know this period here, 943 days. The actual bottom for most of crypto during that time was back in roughly the summer of 2019. But the issue here is that we also ran into COVID. So it did affect the market a little bit differently back in that time period. But again, just going off of the time period here that, we have in front of us from the previous cycle, 570 days to even 600 days would be a fair assessment on when the market officially starts its uptrend again. I think that we're at that point. I think that we're at the point where most of the market has been kind of flatlined. We've been selling off for so long. So we are basically bottomed out, which is why I think taking note of things like this are so important right now. Fundamentals are actually so important right now rather than looking at the chart. I don't think that the chart right now is very important. The main thing that we look at is what's happening on these networks. And with Stellar, we're seeing real-time TPS in the last 30 days. It's only up about 1.24%, but we're at 136.4 transactions per second, which is awesome to see. Now, the transactional volume in the last 30 days, 354 million. That's pretty insane. It's insane because, again, like the total transactions on Stellar are 22.8 billion. So we're starting to see the transactional demand here picking up in a big way. And you can also see this on the 7-day span too, like the real-time TPS, 160, almost 100 million transactions in just 7 days. Stellar, like I said, is no joke. Now, to build on top of this, let's actually go down here to the transaction volume chart. Last 90 days. Guys, look at how crazy this is. We're starting to scale here in transactions. I remember when we hit 10 million earlier this year, and we were looking at it and we're like, wow, this is actually pretty crazy. This is pretty crazy. Now we're nearing 20 million. We hit a peak here of like 14.7 million. I'm not too sure if mine's really up to date here, but I do believe that this is all up to date. It's pretty wild to see this. And also you could track dev activity as well, which I think is awesome. Now, dev activity or developers in general, really not anything special here, but there is still well over 690 plus devs on the network. And you could also look at the commits here as well. It's been about roughly 65,000, which again is still pretty nice. We're starting to see some more and more dev activity here to mix in with, of course, the transactional volume. So that's awesome. There's a lot of building happening here. There's a lot of growth happening here. There's a lot of, overall adoption happening as well. So this is incredible to see. Another major stat that, again, Stellar is starting to expand rapidly. Now, we also go back to one big partnership, MoneyGram. Guys, MoneyGram just expanded on their 5 years with Stellar. We have here from Danielle Dixon. 5 years ago, we partnered with MoneyGram to make fast, low-cost payments a reality for more people globally. Since then, we've collaborated to build the world's largest cash on and off ramp for digital assets, launch the MoneyGram Ramps API, introduce a stablecoin balance in Colombia, and as of yesterday, El Salvador, all exclusively on Stellar. I'm even more excited about everything that we'll accomplish in the next 5 years. We are just getting started. And yeah, what's crazy about this is they've been working with MoneyGram for 5 years. They're constantly expanding. They're constantly launching. They're constantly building. And that's where you start to see the TPS really match what's been happening. I love this. It's awesome to see. And again, yes, we do have the announcement from MoneyGram. Again, if we're thinking about mass adoption, it's going to be through names that are already established like MoneyGram. I remember when the partnership launched with MoneyGram and Ripple initially back in the day, and everyone thought it was the biggest thing ever. Now, again, we know that MoneyGram during the SEC lawsuit kind of moved away from Ripple and they started to work with Stellar. And since then, it's been very successful for them. Now, is that going back to the whole idea of MoneyGram switched up from Ripple to Stellar, so that means that, Stellar is beating Ripple? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that they saw an opportunity that, you know what, they're in the middle of a lawsuit. We don't want anything to do with that. We're going to, switch it up a bit. So I'm not too concerned at all with that. Again, I don't really compare and contrast these networks anymore. I think that that's really kind of just a low IQ discussions anymore. So I really just kind of look at what's going on here. And the main idea here is that a well-established platform like MoneyGram is tapped in with Stellar around global payments and really kind of streamlining things in a very efficient way. And they are launching products, which is awesome. Again, just reinforcing the idea that Stellar is here to stay, and Stellar is a utility-based platform where XLM is the gas fee driver. Now, on top of that, let's talk about real-world adoption, more so tokenization. I said here that Stellar XLM is absolutely dominating the tokenization game, so undervalued and overlooked because, again, we're still seeing quarter over quarter growth for Stellar. The Q1 2026 report came out recently, and I could just make a new video regarding all of this because there's definitely a lot to go over. But the main stat line that I'm really kind of looking at here is RWAs. RWA market cap is up 91% quarter over quarter to $1.5+ billion. The X402 and MPP launches provide catalysts for agentic payments. Stablecoin market cap is up 22% quarter over quarter to 297 million plus. X-Ray privacy protocol live on Stellar, laying the groundwork for privacy preserving, regulatorily compliant apps as well. So yeah, Stellar is no joke. I mean, look at this view here. Distributed asset value is up 15, almost 16%. Represent asset value is up 15,210%. We're talking 1.67 billion and $471 million. Stablecoin market cap up 3%, 306 million. RWA holders up about almost 14% at almost 9,700. Stablecoin holders up 1.47%, almost at 620,000 holders. RWA 30-day transfer volume up about almost 8%, $128 million. And then stablecoin 30-day transfer volume, 2.77 billion, up almost 15% in the last 30 days. What's crazy about this stat line here is the chart. Guys, this is the craziest looking chart because the only other network very similar to this upward push is probably Ethereum. I mean, there really isn't a lot of networks similar to this view. Even if you look at like, you know, some of these other networks, I mean, maybe like BNB and Solana. I mean, I know that Solana has been really kind of going crazy lately, but again, like it's not nearly as steep. Like we're seeing a massive upward push. So I would say like the only actual network that's even close to Stellar here in the sense of like the adoption of tokenized value is Ethereum. Like even XRP, you know, we're not seeing that massive step to the upside. Like Stellar is here in a major way, and it's very clear just by going over the adoption side of things. And by the way, this does not include stablecoins. When we include stablecoins, it gets even crazier. Just look at this chart. Tokenization on Stellar is going parabolic. And by the way, the transfer volume is also not looking too shabby either, which is also probably another major highlight on why we're seeing TPS like this and transactions like this as well. So this is awesome to see. And, you know, again, we're seeing like roughly 700 million, 600 million like every week or so. So that's awesome. Again, that's exactly what we want to see when it comes back to like the whole tokenization move. Now, the main thing that I'm really kind of looking at is like, this is still very early on. We're probably going to start to see a much larger shift here once we start to see clarity and institutional players actually jumping in a huge way. But just taking a quick look at everything here, just from the alt, category here, we can see where most of the growth is coming from. Number one, Spyco up about roughly 44%. Franklin Templeton is actually down about almost 3%, but Bitbond is up almost 15,000%. Now, Bitbond has this VOOM Bond 2030, which is just a corporate credit asset class. Now, that's at $460 million. From what I know, that's like the only thing that they actually have here, but they do have two RWAs here. If you actually go to Bitbond, you can see their two RWAs. They do have this Bitbond BB1 tokenized bond. There's only about $3 million tied back to that, and it's actually down in the last 7 days. So I feel like most of the value growth here from Bitbond would actually be that VOOM Bond 2030 asset. But beyond that, we're still seeing some nice growth here from Circle, only about like 3.37%. Wisdom Tree up 10.35%. And then we also have Centrifuge up about 199.7%. The main thing for me, like the main selling point around Stellar, is still the idea of how many stablecoins they have. There's 3 here. Then on the other page, I mean, guys, we have so many stablecoins here. We have multiple euro-based stablecoins. We also have another stablecoin in terms of like a US dollar, a Glow dollar, PayPal USD, another euro, a Mexican peso stablecoin, a Swiss franc stablecoin, another euro stablecoin. Like there's so many stablecoins here for Stellar, which I love. And of course, yes, we do have Red Swan with real estate. There's so many asset classes here around Stellar. It's awesome to see. Again, like just the adoption of Stellar is wild to witness because most people are just not paying attention to Stellar. And I think that it's at a prime time moment where the chart looks like this. And again, in hindsight, like when we come back to, you know, some of these videos, like, although, yeah, we might have, you know, a deeper sell-off back down to like 14 cents again, maybe one more time. But we're going to come back to some of these videos. It might not be in a week from now, but we will come back and say, wow, like it's actually kind of wild, but you know, I was right in the sense of like now is like the prime time to be watching these altcoins, but most people are just not here. Like most of retail is already wiped out. They're not really paying attention, but it's at a moment where it's so important because the fundamental side is stacking up. And like I said in the beginning of this video, oh, like why did XLM break out? It's all pressure building up. Fundamental activity, news, all of that. Like people say that it doesn't move the price, and it doesn't. Initially, it doesn't. But it builds up and it builds up and it builds up, and then we start to see that expansion on the chart. And I think that Stellar or XLM this time around is definitely going to see that, but in a much larger way. And I do think that this is also the time where we start to see some of these OG Dino coins like XLM and even XRP break their prior all-time highs. And that's what I'm really kind of watching for. That's what I'm waiting for. And that's going to be a historical moment for a lot of these altcoins. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys definitely like, subscribe, notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow us on X as well as join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.